From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Now, Peter H. Reynolds is the New York Times best-selling illustrator of the Judy Moody series and the author-illustrator of So Few of Me, The North Star, and The Rose's Garden. The president and creative director of Fable Vision Studios, he lives in Dedham, Massachusetts. Today, he's here to talk to us about his new book, Sky Color. Please welcome Peter H. Reynolds!
Thank you. Thank you. Who is having fun? Awesome. That's great. It's great to be here in Washington, D.C. I'm from Boston. Who's been to Boston? Yeah? Who has not been to Boston? You're invited to Boston, okay? And if you've been to Boston, come back and see me in Boston. Thank you, Target, for helping celebrate books today and family and storytelling and art. Who here is an artist? Raise your hand. And big people can raise their hands too, all right? I actually believe that everybody is an artist. And sometimes adults get a little bit nervous drawing, but you can help them, okay? If your parents say they can't draw, you can read them a book. I wrote a book called The Dot. Oh, you know that book. And it's kind of interesting. If you ever need a little reminder of how to make a dot, look at what the Target logo looks like. It's kind of a dot, and another dot, and another dot. In fact, that's a really cool way to start making a drawing. So there's a dot, right? And raise your hand if you know your ABCs. I know them. Backwards and forwards. If you know your ABCs, you can make a drawing. What letter is that? That's the C, right? And then this is, what letter is that? The D, right? And then, what letter is this? That's right. So does that look like a, what do you think that is? Ear, and a ear, and the neck, and the head. Now we need some details. Hair, you think some hair? All right. I'm going to put some hair. And you can have any kind of hair, curly hair. I'm going to put hair like this, and maybe some longer hair. And I'm going to make little dots. And how about a letter U that someone sat on? Does that kind of look like a U that somebody sat on? And then if we put another one right underneath, do you know who that is? Yeah? That's Vashti from my book called The Dot. It's about a little girl who says she can't draw and about a teacher who thinks differently in more ways than one. And her teacher says, just make a mark and see where it takes you. So Vashti grabs the marker and she gives the paper a good, strong jab. She makes a little dot. And her teacher takes a look at it and hands it back to her and says, please sign it. And Vashti thinks for a moment, well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. So Vashti signs her name underneath her dot. Vashti. Her teacher takes a look at it, and when Vashti walks into class the next week, she's surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, that little dot, all framed in swirly gold. And Vashti took a look at it, and she says, I could make a better dot than that. And she opens up her watercolors, and she starts to paint. She makes red dots and yellow dots and blue dots, and the blue mixed with the yellow, and she discovered she could make a green dot. That's right. And there's an art show at the end of the book, if you read the book, and all of her dots are on the wall. And the little boy is gazing up at her, and he says, wow, you're a really great artist. I wish I could draw. And she says, I'm sure you can. And he said, no, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. Well, Vashti hands him a blank sheet of paper and says, show me. The boy's pencil shakes as he draws his line, and he hands it back to Vashti. Vashti takes one look at it and hands it back to Ramon and says, please sign it. And that's the way the book ends, but it's really the beginning, because the Dot is the first book in my Create trilogy. There are 3 books in the Create trilogy: The Dot, Ish, and now Sky Color. And if you know the book Ish, that's about a little boy, Ramon, who loves to draw. And just like Vashti, in fact, I'm going to just finish off here. And this is Ramon. Ramon's got kind of curly hair. And I'm going to have his eyes closed. It's kind of cool to draw with your eyes closed. You should try it sometime. And he's going to be holding his paintbrush. So there's Ramon. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to do with my drawings. Sign it. That's right. So Peter H. Reynolds. By the way, anybody here a twin? Who's a twin? Anybody a twin? Yeah, we have some twins? Because I'm a twin. I have a twin brother named Paul Reynolds. And he's my best friend. You're a twin too? If you don't have a twin, I always say find a twin. All right? Paul and I highly recommend being twins. It's a very fun way to be. And maybe Paul will come sneak out on stage at the end here. But we also have a children's bookstore in Boston. We love books so much. We opened our own children's bookstore. Thank you. And it's called the Blue Bunny. And if you ever come to Boston, hop to the Blue Bunny. And it's in our hometown of Dedham, Massachusetts. And we have books, and we have toys, and we also have art supplies. And our favorite book in the whole store has nothing in it. It's a blank book, because the cool stuff is going to come from you, and the artwork will come from you, and the story will come from you. And you are the ones that are going to make your books, because it's really fun to make books. Who here loves books? Raise your hand. And if you really, really, really love books, raise both hands. And if you really, 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 really love books and you're never going to stop, raise both hands and wiggle your fingers. That is awesome. Wow. That is a lot of wiggly fingers. In fact, I believe we're being broadcast actually around the world on the internet, which is kind of cool because we can use technology to connect the dots to kindred spirits who believe that things are going to get better when we believe and work together and use our creativity. So I wrote a book called Sky Color. It's the 3rd book in the Create trilogy, and it stars a little girl named Marisol. And Marisol is the little sister of Ramon. So if you know my book, Ish, this is Marisol, the sister, and she gets her very own book. So I think we're going to read that now. This is the Washington, D.C. debut of my new book, Sky Color. And I think we're going to, thank you. And there we go. Marisol was an artist. She loved to draw. Do you know what? It's going to be helpful. It's so new, I need help because the words are actually in the book. So I drew the pictures and I wrote the words. Sky Color by me. Marisol was an artist. She loved to draw and paint. She even had her very own art gallery. Do you have your art gallery at home? Yeah? Not all her art hung in a gallery. Much of it she shared with the world. She painted posters to share ideas she believed in. At school, Marisol was famous for her creative clothes, her box of art supplies, and her belief that everybody was an artist. Yes, Marisol was an artist through and through. So when her teacher told the class they were going to paint a mural for the library, Marisol couldn't wait to begin. The classroom buzzed with the sound of brainstorming. The students talked and sketched. Together, they made a great, big drawing. Then they marched to the library. I'll paint a fish. I'll paint one too. I'll paint the ocean. Marisol shouted, I'll paint the sky. Marisol rummaged through the box of paints, but she could not find any blue. How am I going to paint the sky without blue? The bell rang. It was time to put their brushes down for the day. As she climbed aboard the bus, Marisol kept wondering. All the way home, she stared out the window. The sun lowered closer to the horizon. Later at home, Marisol watched day turn into night. That night, Marisol settled into a deep dream. She drifted through a sky swirling with colors. The colors mixed, making too many to count. In the morning, Marisol stood waiting for the bus in the rain. The sky was not blue. She smiled. At school, Marisol raced to the library. She grabbed a dish and she began adding colors, this one and that one. She swirled the brush to make an altogether new color. Marisol then began painting on the wall. A boy asked, What color is that? That, Marisol said, that is sky color. And there's her mural. What do you think? Thank you. My book, The Dot, was dedicated to, I like to dedicate my books, and almost all the time I'm usually thanking teachers because teachers are so awesome. Let's hear it for our teachers. Because I love to draw in school, but not all my teachers liked me drawing because they thought I wasn't paying attention. But my math teacher said to me, he said, Peter, how would you like to do a special project? Do you think you could teach math using your art and your storytelling? And I thought, wow, this is cool. So I went home and I made a comic book to teach math using my drawing and my writing. So when I showed Mr. Matson my comic book, he took a look at it and he said, Peter, do you know what you've done? And I thought, I made a comic book? He said, yes, you did, but it's also called a storyboard. It's what a filmmaker uses to make a film. How would you like to make an animated film, a cartoon of your story? And I said, yes. And so when I was 12 years old, I made my very first animated film to teach math. Well, that's what I do today. I have a company called Fable Vision, and we use story, technology, and media to teach and inspire and to make the world a better place. But it started really with my math teacher doing something amazing. And it's the most powerful thing a parent or a teacher or caregiver can do. He noticed me. And he connected the dots. And it changed my life. And that's why I'm standing here with you in Washington, D.C. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not sure if we have what our timing is on. Yeah, we're good? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask all of you to join my club. I have a new club. It's called the Dot Club. Pretty easy to remember, right? The Dot. And if you go to thedotclub.org, you can actually join my club. And it's for creative people. And it's a very simple rules. There are 3 rules, all right? And they're rules-ish, all right? 1, keep being creative. 2, help the people around you to be creative. And 3, use your talents and gifts to make the world a better place. And if you like those rules, you're in my club. Thank you so much for letting me connect the dots. And thank you, Target. And thanks to the whole team here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.